All right, so we're going to get everything started. My name is Valerie Smith, of course, the district director. And just want to say welcome to the President's Leadership Circle Education Series. I hope everyone had a wonderful New Year and a wonderful Christmas. However you celebrate the holidays, I just thought it was amazing just to be around family and friends and just enjoying ringing in the new year because I said my word is elevation. And to me, of course, when I began the actual year is excellence. But as we are moving forward to achieving the next level in Toastmasters, we definitely want to elevate. We don't want to slow down because we are in the mid-year, and that has a tendency to say, okay, where are we? Do we slow down or do we keep going? I say keep going. And I know I see some familiar faces, a lot of seasoned Toastmasters here. So you know what it's like to take your club to the next level and to strategize to know exactly what you need to do to get your club to distinguished status. So I just want to get at least two people that are really excited about taking their club to being distinguished. And maybe you've been distinguished always, but you know that consistency is everything. So, does anybody want to share on how you keep your club elevated to being motivated to get those paths and levels submitted, going to training? You're the president, you set the tone for your club. How do you keep your members engaged in the mid part of the season? Anyone could raise their hand, their digital hand, and then introduce yourself and your club. All right, maybe I should
I will
start
go,
first.
Valerie. Martha,
Okay, all right.
thank you. I am Martha Brock Leffridge. I've been in Toastmasters for quite a number of years. This district, just a few years. One of the things that we are doing in the Bellwood Toastmasters Club, we are adding new members and adding new members, keeping the members that are current motivated. It's very hard, but at the same time, all of the members are committed and they want to be distinguished. I believe they missed their distinction category status a little while back. I was not in that club then. I came back because I thought that they could be a great club and there are great members there. And I don't use the word motivate, but just to keep members going, keeping them involved. I want to make sure that they are doing speeches, recording what they're doing, in addition to all the wonderful things that are relatable to most of them being area directors. So it's a two fold process that we're doing in order to get us to distinction after missing it for about 1 year. So that's kind of like what we're doing is just staying involved with them and making sure they understand what the goals are that has been set for the year and how they play a part. Back to you,
All
madam.
right, thank you, Mark. That's exactly what I'm going to be talking about as well. So you hit on some great points, and that's exactly what you're going to learn. Do anyone else want to share what their club is doing to keeping the momentum going? Because after the 6 months, you definitely want to keep everything exciting. Because of course, next month is going to be Talk Up Toastmaster. I see Cynthia.
I'm president of Whale as well as Renaissance, and Whale's on track to become. And actually, Renaissance is as well. The only thing we need are the members. So we need 3 members to hit distinguished, and that club has
Ooh.
never been distinguished before.
Wow.
Um, But I looked at the membership, what we got the low hanging fruit, because there's certain things that you just shouldn't miss, like turning in your list. And it took
Yes.
tons of emails about doing the training. We got Super 7 for the first time,
Oh, yes.
and it's a lot of work. But the biggest thing, I'm glad we don't have our counter-grammarians here. But the biggest thing was getting all those other things out the way and look at the educational goals and who could do what. And the only thing we have left is to secure these men. We have 6 months to do it, and I'm hopeful.
All right. Well, thank you, Cynthia. That's some great news. And I remember having conversations before the start of the year, and I'm hearing a lot of progress, and I'm looking forward to seeing that distinguished goal achieved for Renaissance, because you all have been working really hard, putting your club out there on social media, having those great events. Because I noticed that Toastmasters and guests love events, and it's great to do that, to put your club out there. So I just want to say that I come from South Loop Speak Freaks Toastmasters Club number 7079. And I would say that we are also the same way. We love during this time to have a open house. Sometimes we're doing educational sessions if there's a fifth Tuesday in a month, because not only is it growing our members, but it's also bringing in other guests. And when they see that excitement, either in person or online, especially if they're both the same, they definitely want to join your club. So let's get started. If more people come in, that's great. But right now, we're just going to dig right on in on what you need to be doing right now. Before I do that, I get excited, too excited, because I forget to share. Uh, I'm just trying to get right to it. All right.
Valerie, if I could, this is Rosalind. Before you go on, I had put a question in the chat. So I'm just trying to get a sense of whether or not demographics of a club have any significant impact with regard to the level of commitment and stick-to-itiveness. Just
Yeah,
thought,
I know there are some that are having impact due to economics. Hold on for a minute. I think they're having problems with retention because corporate clubs are experiencing what we call layoffs, and they can't keep, the membership, or they can't get 7 club officers. But we try to let them know that they can have at least 3 officers, and the rest can be either renewals or reinstatements. The impacts right now are the corporate clubs. Yeah, corporate clubs are feeling the pinch with their finances because they're just losing their funding. And so we're trying to help some that don't want to dissolve by doing a demo meeting. So if they have new employees onboarding, they can at least come to a demo meeting to know what Toastmasters is all about. And that's the way they can come back from being suspended. But they have to get at least 12 members to get out of that suspension mode. But right now, that's the biggest impact right now. Community clubs, not too much of a problem right now. They're very steady with keeping their membership. But right now, we've noticed that corporate clubs are impacted right now. And thank you for asking that question. All right. So as you know, like this year, we're all about excellence. We're all about putting the T in Toastmasters excellence at that. Right now, the most important thing right now is looking at your club to know exactly where you are right now. So in this here presentation, you're going to learn about the dashboard, how to look at it, I know this year it was all about club success plan, and this year our Toastmasters International leaders, especially our executive board, they really want our clubs to know exactly where they are. So I'm going to give you the guide to mastering the Distinguished Club program within 6 months strategic plan. So the most important thing, and I can only tell you that for all clubs, every club needs to know the mission, values, and the promise. Because I hear a lot of horror stories that are happening in clubs, and that can really hurt your membership, and that can also hurt you from achieving distinguished status. So you really want to make sure that you're looking at these values: integrity, respect, service, excellence. Are we showing those values in our club? Are we reciting the mission where your club understands we do have a club mission? And that club mission is we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self confidence and personal growth. This is exactly how you want to see your club. If your club is not hitting what's under this club mission, there's work that needs to be done. But I want to see every club in District 103 to look empowered. I want you to empower, and I want your club members to be talking about your club, that they're bringing someone in. And then there's a Toastmasters International brand promise. Sometimes we just talk about the Toastmasters promise, but there's also an international brand promise. So sometimes it's good to go through these exactly with your club, and just maybe every quarter, just remind them about what Toastmasters, this organization has been around over 100 years. And we want it to continue for another 100 years. So the next thing, I wanted to know how many of you have gone through the Distinguished Club Program book. Now I know it's a PDF file, and you can put it in the chat if you did, or you can show some emojis if you have went through the book. Let me see if I can see any chats. Okay, Alison. Okay, so I'm only seeing Alison. But however, I think that is very important for you to really have an understanding about the Distinguished Club Program. The Distinguished Club Program is made up of a couple things. And the most important thing I would say to be a distinguished club is your membership. I know that you like to make sure that everybody has their pathways done, all 6 goals done. You want to make sure they got their training, a minimum of 4 club officers in both rounds. You're submitting your club list and your renewals. But the most important thing that hurt a lot of clubs is missing a club member by 1. That hurts. You missed it by 1 member, and you would have been a distinguished club. That's why we want to start early. Always start in that. You can even start as early as October if you want to. If you want to do this on a quarterly basis. But this is just a snapshot for you can look at your club in January to see where you are, even if you do it quarterly. But it's very important to know what your Distinguished Club Program goals consist of. So now you know that it'll be, I know it's 20 members and the net growth is now 3. It used to be 5. So net growth is 3. So if you make your base, so say if it's 20, they want you to get another 3. But you don't have to just stay there. You can continue as many times you want. I know this here is an older slide, but now we have a new goal, and it's called Smetley Distinguished Goal. So if you're hitting 25 members, oh, and you hit 10 goals, you are a Smelly Distinguished Club, but you also have to have your club success plan. So if your club did not submit your club success plan by September 30th, you are disqualified to be recognized as a distinguished or better club. So it's very important every year you submit your club success plan in the portal and let your area director know that you did submit it. So I want to go on to talk about a club success plan. I know back in the day, we used to have like a really long form. But the reason why that long form was really needed is for you to understand how to deal with communication, how to deal with obstacles, how are you operating as a club. So it's really when you're talking about being a club officer, you're not just working by yourself, you're working with a team. It's almost like a business. So as you can see, you see your team, what is, what the composition is. This is an old club success plan, but what are your values? How do people see your club? You're highly respected by everyone that walks through the door. So these are the things you really want to portray. Your values, you want to have team operating principles. If you don't have an operating principle, you definitely want to make sure that's happening within your club. You know, what's the communication like? How do you communicate? Are you communicate by email? Is text okay? Is phone okay? So it's very important how you do things. Now, the club success plan, when there is a short form, that's really just talking about your goals. And sometimes when you're working with your area director, hold on for a moment, I'm just having an issue with this here floater. I just have to stop it for a moment and go back. Let me just hide this. Yeah, it was in my way. So when you're working with your area director, they will ask you questions on what kind of goals do you have for your education, and you can share that within your club success plan when you're filling it out. And it's so easy this time because you have a portal. And that portal really helps because the names are already filled in. All you gotta do is check the boxes on who's going to complete what. And also your training for club officers. You definitely want to go to your first round as well as your second round. So as the president, you definitely want to talk to your club officers, make sure they're there. If they don't get trained at District 103, they can always go to another district and be trained, and just let the educator or whoever is the host have Dr. Alice Ann's name and email address so they can send an email to Dr. Alice Ann that you were trained. We just don't get that information immediately. It just don't work like that. It's just really communication. And then have some membership drives or open house to increase the numbers of your club membership. And that's where that club plan comes in, is you're really just working together on how are you going to achieve those statuses and how many goals are you looking to achieve. Do you want to be a distinguished club? Do you want to be a select, a president, or a smeltly? So your vision as a president, you want to set the tone for the next 6 months. And if you're wanting to be smeltly distinguished, I say go for it. I said, some people say it could never happen. You never know what can happen. So the next thing I want to talk about is, again, membership goals. As I was saying, we do have a Toastmasters dashboard. How many of you have been to the dashboard? Let's see. Because the dashboard is definitely going to be the place you want to be at during this time to see how many goals you have and how many members you have. Don said he goes daily. Ellison says she has. Rosalind. All right, this is great stuff. So you really want to make sure that you are on your dashboard. You want to know exactly what's going on in your club. And so over here where you see where it says 20 as your base, and you see where it says 20 members or a net growth. So if you're hitting your base already, now you know all you have to do, you can hit a base of another 3 new members. And again, I say it again, you can keep going. You don't have to stop. Just keep going, and you can have 30 members. It doesn't matter if it says your base is 20. It's just a bare minimum where you need to hit, but no one says that you can't hit more. Because right now, McDonald's, their base is 25, and I believe they have now 39, and then they also added like 15 more renewals for April. So they're still growing as a club right now. But they do have 41. I did check, they got 2 new members. So they went from 39 members to 41. So they are still growing. So just don't be that club to say, well, we hit our 20 and that's it. So you really want to look at your membership. Your membership goals are very important, as well as your education, because you do have to hit those 6 goals if you're trying to get to a Smedley or a President's Distinguished, because your numbers are very important. And to make sure the easiest point to get is when you turn in your club officers list before July 1st. So if you know that you're going to have your club officers elections in May, make sure you have that club officers list ready to go, filled out, sent out before July 1st. That's the easiest point to get. And that's a goal to achieve. And overall, this is exactly how your dashboard looks. So if you've never been on a dashboard, this is exactly what it will look like. So when you go to this, you're all going to get this PowerPoint. So you'll have this link that will take you to the dashboard, and you'll put in the district, or you could put in your club's number. And if you, like I put in my club number last year, at the time we had 20 as our base, 15 members up to date, and it will just show you what goals you already hit. So we had hit number 10, the easiest one, like I said. Once you hit those renewals on time, turn in your club officers list, you get that one goal. And then everything just start following right before you when you hit July 1st in your new year. You're going to your club officers training, and then you just keep an eye out on what's going on, when is the next second training, and then you just make sure you're looking at your actual numbers. Are you hitting them or not? And it will just tell you how many members you need to complete for a goal. And then, of course, you have your 6 goals for education. And at that time, we had 2 that was already completed. We had 1. So when you see 4 for the number 1 goal, which is 4 level 1s, 3 needs to be completed. 1 was already completed. No, 3 was completed. Only need 1. So when you see those numbers, they're highlighted. That means that they were completed to date, and you only need one. So when you're going back, when you see these shaded numbers, those were already completed. Do anyone have any questions about the dashboard before I go on?
Valerie, I have a question. I
Mm-hmm.
remember, I think it was in 2023 when were you the PQD? Is that the year?
Um, no,
24?
24.
Okay. It was brought to my attention that when a person or the club doesn't put in the, I believe it's called the officers list, there's an extended date that we don't see on our side that they have until that date to put it in. Can you clarify that for me?
Yeah, I've heard that before, to have it in by the end of July. I have heard that before. And I know we do have I think it's called semi-annual club officers election, because we do have some clubs where club officers do leave. So you can submit a club officers list before December 31st. But I know in the beginning of the year, I have heard from districts that you can turn it in before the end of July. Yeah, cool. Any other questions? Okay. So I'm about to go into the strategic 6 month plan. And this was a plan that I had created for BPEs. That's why I did invite them today. But I really want you to, these are areas I really want you to focus on. Okay, I see a raised hand by Gary Behrens.
Hello, Madam District Director. Yes, thank you. I wanted to follow up on the last question and discussion with a comment.
Mm-hmm.
It may well be, and I didn't hear you say explicitly that there's a grace period of 30 days or 31 days per se, other than both you and Martha said you had heard this. And I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, you said you heard it from district, but maybe you meant
Mm-hmm.
from world headquarters. But I did not hear that as a definitive statement that yes, absolutely, you can turn it in before the end of July and still receive credit for that particular goal of the dashboard. Now,
Yeah.
what I would just like to enjoin in having that opportunity for whatever reason, because of different officer election
Mm-hmm.
schedules and so forth within various clubs, that perhaps you don't have the opportunity to conduct that election until the end of June for some reason. Yet
Mm-hmm.
I would counter that at the time of the election results that are known as to who the new officers slate will be for your club executive council,
Mm-hmm.
at that point, as of June 30th,
Mm-hmm.
your current officers and the club president cannot serve two terms in a row.
Right.
They are now relieved of their
Other duties.
responsibilities
Uh-huh.
pending installation of the new officers. So there's the potential in that transition. Of course, it's the end of the year, it's the beginning of summer, and etc. There's the potential for miscommunication, missed opportunity, and dropping the ball. That who's
Yeah.
doing this? And it should be that outgoing president that takes care of it before they vacate their office and responsibilities. So that cushion, it may be there. It's not absolutely clear or certain that that is a written policy anywhere that, as Martha said, is made available or known to
Yeah.
us directly. And so there might be some flexibility there, but you don't want to miss that window of
You
opportunity
don't.
regardless by not necessarily shirking it off, but just saying, oh, the next person will do this, or
Right?
maybe the outgoing president briefs the new president of the club, and maybe that person does get around to it or misunderstands or what have you. Who did it? Oh, nobody did because we were going in different directions and at different times. So I would just advocate for taking care of it sooner than later without
Exactly.
without yeah, without procrastination.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I've seen clubs that said, well, I didn't know we were supposed to have our, I don't know what they were thinking, but there were some clubs that didn't even have an election until July. And I'm like, what is really going on? So we are going to be approaching our clubs and sending out campaigns and reminders to our executive team to let them know you want to start as early as April. April,
The
and
mom
can
inside?
you? All right, can you please put yourself on mute, Georgiana?
No, sorry.
That's okay. And so you really want to make sure that we want our clubs to make sure that they are planning an election in April. So it could be, you can start planning it for May, but have those conversations in April on when you're going to have your club officers election. And you want to have it before the TLI. The TLI is going to be June 6th. It's going to be in person. It's not going to be hybrid. It's going to be in person. More details to come. But the thing is, what we want is our clubs to be ready because we are merging with District 30 July 1st. So we really want to make sure that your clubs are hitting those goals before you go into the new year. So, with this strategic 6 month plan, you're going to learn about leadership, engagement, influence, mentorship, recognition, training and development, growth, and Toastmasters excellence. So the overall view of this 6 months, which we are at month one, is your mid-year review. Where are you right now? Looking at your actual Toastmasters dashboard, how many members do you have? How many goals do you need to achieve in your education? So you're really going to be working close with your VPE to see, are you hitting your club success plan that you had submitted by September 30th? Are we getting the members? Are we getting our club officers trained? And we know that number 10, that's already out if you have not hit that point, because that's done in the beginning of the year. By October 1st, that's the first renewal period. So you should have hit those numbers and have submitted them. Hold on for a moment. So the next one is month two, which is February. You want to be member focused and leadership development. During this time, you want to be working with your members. If you don't have a mentoring program, um, definitely you want to see how your members are doing. I like. I think they have a membership profile, but you also can check in with your members. They do have a form. I will have to send that when I send this PowerPoint. How they're doing, and they can answer these questions in this form. So it really know exactly where your members want to be. And that's where leadership development comes in. You can have an education session on something they want to learn, and that's what keeps your retention going. So you want to make sure that you have your member in mind at all costs. Month three is preparing for speech and leadership milestones. So anything that you're working on in pathways, you don't want to wait until May and June saying, oh my God, I gotta finish up my path. because maybe you're trying to get your DTM. Try to get it done as close between March and April. Don't try to push for June because you don't know what's going to happen. With time, you really want to start early and preparing and finishing up your levels and have your members as well finish up their levels as well. And that's how you're going to achieve that distinguished status because you prepared early. Month 4 is your final push for your Distinguished Club program goals in April. And I'm going to go over that a little bit. I'm just going over what you're going to be learning right now. Month 5 is to reflect and celebrate achievements in May. And then in June is the closing the year. And then just like Gary said, it's transition time. So once June 30th is over, that is really the transition of your new leaders. So let's get started with month 1, and that's your mid-year review. So what are you going to be doing? You're going to assess your progress on education goals. So that could be pathways, speeches, leadership goals, whatever you're doing in your leadership roles. What's the next thing that you want to do as a leader? Do you want to take on a BPE role? Things of those. And then also, you probably want to start talking to your members. And maybe you don't want to be in a leadership role. Maybe you want to take someone to the next level and you could be a mentor for them. But you definitely want to start assessing those members and see who wants to take on a leadership role, not just for yourself, but for those who can go to the next level. Identify any areas where your distinguished club program goals are falling short. It could be your membership. Maybe you said we'll get 5 members by November, but right now you only hit 3. So why are you falling short? Maybe you need to do a membership drive, an open house, have a couple events, in between now and March. That way you can cover some of that falling short from your numbers. Adjust the success plan. Maybe there's some goals within that success plan that's probably not working, and maybe you came up with some new ideas. I think it'd just be great to always look at your club success plan. Always look at it every month when you're having an executive team meeting. Open it up. See what goals have been achieved. That's the reason why Toastmasters started that, because they really want you to look at your goals. Are you hitting those numbers? Because you want to be a distinguished club or better. But you don't want to wait until May. May is too late, to be honest. You want to start now. Hold on for a moment. And then also communicate and review results and any changes to the Distinguished Club program, which I had discussed just now. If you're having great results in your membership, keep it up. And then remember, your club members, they also want to work with the club officers as well. So if you have an open house and you need help, reach out to your club members. They would not mind being a Toastmaster for the open house. They don't mind if it's going to be in person. They go get their refreshments. It just adds a lot of excitement. I know, me coming from South Loop Speak Freaks, when we used to meet in person, that was just like one of the fun things to do, is to see people coming in the door, especially guests. And you got food and everybody's excited. So definitely want to have your club members involved. So month 2, like I said, member focus is very important in February and leadership development. So you want to continue encouraging educational achievements. You definitely want to highlight the benefits of leadership roles, because again, we cannot continue doing the same role over and over. We still have to think about how we're going to build our members to get into that next level, to take it on a leadership role as a VPE, as a VP of membership, or VP of Public Relations, and so forth. So I think in that month too, start thinking about that, and then before you get to April and you're doing your club elections, because you are approaching those club members, they can start thinking on what roles do they really want to develop on, and is this something that they can shadow you and see what you're doing. This is a great month to do it. Also, again, develop club leaders, future leaders. Now, another thing, after they have been developed, you definitely want to introduce them to area director and division director roles. That's outside the club. And I know there are some members that don't know that they can be a leader outside of that club. So that's the reason why you want to keep mentoring. That's why you want to keep developing, making sure they're taking on these leadership roles before they go into the district level. Now, month 3, this is preparing for speech and leadership milestones. And that's March 28th. So you want to organize events for speech completion. So I know a lot of you have heard of speechathons. Those are fun because, again, it's March. It seems like it's early, but this year goes very fast after April. So I would say start now, organize the events for speech completions. Don't wait until May. Get those speeches done. Have a speechathon. I think those are the best. I've been to some speechathons. I think they're great. You can do more than one speech and get evaluated for them. And then you also want to offer mentorship for leadership roles for club meetings. The reason why I say that, a lot of members are scared to be a Toastmaster of a meeting. So it's really good to offer that mentorship to show them what it's like to be a Toastmaster for a club meeting. That way, you're not being a Toastmaster about for the fifth time. So it's good to show individuals how to be a timer, even though we know it, timing a meeting is easy. But for some, they get nervous. So I think that mentorship for club meetings, I think it'd be great for you to help them. And then help members stay focused on their final milestones. And that's where mentorship comes in. Even if you don't have a mentoring program, I would say this, if you have seasoned members, they can just step up and help those members achieve some goals in their pathways. So they know that this here is, a level that can help you with your future speeches or something at your job, especially level 4 and level 5. These are great projects that you can take to in your career. So you can make it career focused. So it's very important that we stay focused on our members and make sure they're preparing for those speeches and that they are submitting them in their pathways portal. And if they don't know, of course, we do have our pathways gurus. If you don't have time to show them, we have Sandra Washington, who oversees the pathways program in our district. So we can always have her come to your club to assist in showing your club members how to submit levels into their portal. Now we get to month 4. Again, this is when things are going to start pushing. You get to April, after April, May, and then June. It starts to go really fast. So we want to go for a final push, and you've been doing it since this month, but April's really is where you're going to be helping your members who need to complete those speeches. If they can't complete them at your club, they can go somewhere else and complete a level. And all they have to do is contact that club, say, can I speak on your agenda? And to make sure that they get their evaluations. Again, you want to offer extra speaking opportunities. Again, if you have a 5th Tuesday, 5th Wednesday, wherever weekday that you're meeting, look for that fifth day in the week. If you haven't, utilize it because these are opportunities for your members to have that extra speaking time. And then encourage members to schedule their pending speeches in upcoming meetings. I think that's very important that they start scheduling ahead of time. That way they can start preparing ahead of time. That's the most important thing. Starting early to preparing and putting yourself on the schedule, but also writing those speeches. Give yourself some time to practice, to have effective speaking. Not just meeting the DCP goals, but your goal is to be a better speaker and a better leader. So you really want to stress that to your members. The most important thing is effective communication and leadership. And then work with your VP of membership to finish planning the membership drive. These are opportunities because, again, we got Talk of Toastmasters, and then we got Beat the Clock that happens, I believe, in May. So you really want to start planning early as much as possible. Put those campaigns out there. Work with your VPPR, which is your VP of Public Relations. And how many of you work with your vice president of public relations, making sure that information is getting out there about your club meetings, about your club events? Let me see if there's anything in the chat. Okay, anyone? Okay, Rosalind. Okay, Jerry. All right. Because we definitely want to continue. Georgiana said yes as well. Your VPPR is there to help you put that information out there because it's very important that you do. Again, I can't stress it enough that everybody don't know your club exists, but you and your members. So it's very important that you are constantly, consistently putting content. I don't care if it's the word of the day, if you want to put an article about communication that you learn, it could be it could be your somebody who did the icebreaker for the first time. And if they said yes, that you can post them on social media because you do have to get permission, do it because it's showing that not only are you promoting content, but you're also supporting your members. And a lot of guests are looking at everything. They look at your website, they look at your social media, even when they come into your meetings, they're looking at how do you treat them and are you going to be supportive of them to being a better speaker and a better leader. Now we get to May. This is where things start to get fun. You start reflecting on your club. Are you completing all? I mean, maybe you completed them all. It's time to celebrate. Did you complete all your distinguished club goals? And then begin planning for the next term, which is your club officers, your elections. So the elections are very important in May because you definitely want to go to your training in June for the Toastmasters Leadership Institute. And then you want to host a recognition ceremony for achievements. So if you notice that so many members have completed so many levels since July of last year up to now in May, it's very important that the executive team comes together. It could be an in-person event or you can do a virtual event and have a slideshow and show those achievements. And that's what's going to help you with your retention. Not only that, if you have 6 guests in your room and in your Zoom room, and they see that you're giving recognition to your members, trust me, they're ready to join because they're looking for that support. So this is definitely May 2026. Definitely want to start thinking about your recognition ceremony. So the next month, of course, is the closing of the year and our transition. And I know that when you get to this point, I know our club officers have seen their work and everything that's been done for the year in serving their club, and now they're about to transition and also help who's coming after them that they transition smoothly. So the most important thing is finalize all tasks to achieve distinguished club status. You want to do that in the beginning of June. You do not want to do this in the third week of June. You want to make sure you're finalizing everything. Are all the levels turned in and approved? I've seen clubs that do this in the last week, and trust me, Toastmasters website can shut down. How many of you know about that? That last week you can break a website. Just don't break the website in the last week. Definitely want to get all your levels. Make sure you're approving your members in a timely manner so you can hit those 6 goals for your pathways, as well as submitting your membership payments. So you want to make sure those payments are going in a timely manner before the end of the month. Also, you want to host that final meeting to celebrate the year's success. So that's the most important. You can do joint meetings with another club, come together, food, recognition, everything. And then also transition leadership to the next club officers. And that's where you do your success planning. That's where you need to be contacting the actual new leader. If you're a president, you should be meeting with the new president coming in for 2026, 2027. You can go to Starbucks, you can go on Zoom. Make sure that each club officer has a success plan to pass over those notes to the new club officer and set them up for success. And that's what shows that your club is distinguished or plus, because why? You never leave a leader without proper transition. Proper transitioning is very important when it comes to leadership. So I really want us, let me see how many minutes we have. Oh yeah, we still have some time because we have until 7:15. Let me just stop sharing here. And I just want to know from you all. I know this was very strategic, month to month. Is this something that your club do on a month to month basis when you're meeting as an executive team? So I do see Martha with her hand up.
Yes, I'm just going to lower it right now. I just want to commend you for such a great presentation. We are never behind on anything you present. You're always current. I want to thank you for that. And I'm not going to answer the question right now. I'll answer it later because I didn't hear it because I was worried about telling you how great of a job you did.
Oh, thank you. So anyone can step in. Just let me know if your club does a lot of planning each month when you're meeting during your executive team, and if you do have an executive team meeting, because I think those are very important to have at least once a month. At least once a month, you should be having these conversations.
Yeah, Valerie Whale does that, and we stay on top of the dashboard, and the officers are held accountable, and everyone takes it on. And actually, this executive team is amazing because all the roles. And
Mm.
so it's like everyone's job is membership, educational goals, and it's a see, but every meeting we do discuss this, and our VPE is excellent about it to make sure that we're on task with our educational goals, and we're always progress with the DCP goals.
That's great. I like that. I know you're talking about Jerome Riley because he is my division director, and he does keep you. He keeps me in the loop. of what's going on in his division. So I know you're in good hands when it comes down to hitting those goals. Because I know that Whale right now has hit 6 goals. Am I correct?
I have not checked meeting. I was gonna look at it right before that. I don't
Yes.
want to misspeak.
Yes. So I believe that if you're looking at your goals now and then compare that to your membership goals, you're on the right track. So I tell anyone, make sure you're hitting those membership goals. So Don said Whale has 6 goals. So that is a
Thank
wonderful
you.
thing. Now all you have to do is get to your base of your membership. That's the most important thing. Once you hit that base in April 1st, you're home free. Oh, you're home free. But you want to start early. You want to start early right now. Get those membership drives in, open house, hit that base, and then also talk to your members about Talk Up Toastmasters. If you have members that had dropped off and they call them former members, close the deal. Like Greg Thompson said, reach out to them. Say we've been thinking about you. You haven't been to a meeting. We know it's been a year. We're thinking about you and we want to invite you to an open house. You never know. It'll probably spark some interest. Now they got time. It could have been at their job. They had started a new job and they just couldn't come. But because you're a virtual club, now they say, I got time now. So now you got them on your mind and now they feel special. So contact everybody on your list when you have an open house and say, hey, we've been missing you. And if you want to do it individually, I think individual emails are good too. If you have the time to do it and just reach out to those former members. You never know who will reinstate after a year. And even if they've been gone for a while, they'll just be a new member again. But anyone else want to share how they keep up to date with their clubs, making sure they're hitting those numbers? And I know we just don't want to make it about numbers because I know when I was a president for the first time, and Gary, you probably can contest, I was telling everybody, we're going to be president distinguished. And sometimes you get annoying members when you do that. And in my second term, what I did was instead of focusing on the numbers, I made sure that everybody had a part in the growth of the club. And when you do that, now you see that it wasn't just about you being that cheerleader, but it was everyone that made that club presence distinguished. And and I learned that don't push the numbers, just push influence and impact. Yeah, and get everybody on board. Because if they're not on board, they can't feel what you feel. But when they're actually doing the speechathons, they are actually helping out with the club contest, and then maybe you have an in-person event, you ask them to be a speaker instead of having a guest speaker. They're like, oh my God, they want me to speak. Now they're going to tell their family, you got to come to my club. See, that's how it all happens. Once they start seeing you speak, then your friends want to come on board. They want to speak. I know my parents don't want to be in Toastmasters because they see so much work I'm doing. They say I'm afraid they're gonna want me to be a president of a club, and then eventually I'll be where you are. My mama said no, I'll pass. But but I told her it's fun. You meet a lot of great people and things of that nature. But do anyone want to share how they keep up on their distinguished club program goals?
If no one else wants to go out, can share, Valerie.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Welcome.
What I do in the Bellwood Club with the members and the different officers, they're very supportive. And we also, every chance we get to have our area director there, Mamie Burks, she's the area director, But something more importantly that we do is we invite our club coach. And the club coach is Sheila Edens Brown, who is the
Mhm.
PRM for the district. And what's so interesting about that is when we're having our executive meetings, she really wants to be there. She's present all the time. And I think with her presence and the fact that she's so engaging with questions, it really helps us to stay on target because it's so important for us to maintain the the presence of all the officers and make sure that they're engaging. In the last meeting we had, she was commending us on how engaging the officers were and how she enjoyed the meeting and how we answered. You know how you do those check boxes? She said, "You guys answered all of my check boxes. I don't really have to ask you any questions now because you covered everything." And I think that's important to keep people that are important to your club's success engage with you. You can't do it all by yourself. Call on your area director, call on your club coach or your mentor, whatever you have in that club. It's so important to get them engaged too. And that's what we've done. And we're doing a pretty good job. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's really good when you have your club coach there daily, when you're having your meetings, as well as your area director. Because, like you said, you cannot do it alone. You will be burnt out. And you have heard some of those clubs where sometimes they take on that president's role so many times because no one wants to be a president. And that's why it's very important that we're training future leaders. Now, I'm looking in the chat. I just seen Don Williams said, according to 2005 world champion Lance Miller, on average, you want your club to gain one or more new members per month. By following that process, his home club grew to 95 members in 1 year and number one club in the world. That's amazing. And then Georgiana said, always great information to take back to our club. Thank you, Val. Thanks, Martha. All the sharing, your input. Happy New Year. All I have to, and she has to drop. But the thing is, it's very important. I think that is really great. If you can have each, I'm going to be honest, if you have each member bring in a guest and they join your club, that's amazing. And I think that's a great strategy, to be honest, is bring someone to your club and make sure the most important thing I always say, because I hear, like I said, I don't like to talk negative, but you always want to keep club business outside of the club meeting. Never talk about club business in front of your guests. Keep it just the way Ralph Smedley said, fun and exciting. They come into Toastmasters for the first time. They don't know what happens behind the scenes with the club officers and all the business. Business stays with business. Toastmasters meeting sticks with the Toastmasters meeting, and open up that meeting with energy, excitement. Good evening or good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. When you start out like that, there's somebody out there saying, "Oh, I'm ready to go." They probably already made up their mind that they're going to join. But soon as they see negative, they're out. They're gone. And that's something that we don't want to see in any Toastmasters club. Any Toastmasters club. We want our district to be known as the fun district. That's right. If you're not having fun, you're not a Toastmaster. That's all I'm going to say. Because I know when I first started Toastmasters, I had fun. And I'm still having fun. And it's been since December 1st, 2011. And it feels like every year is the first year. Yes. All right. And before we go, do anyone have any questions? Want to say last comments?
Belle, you say you're gonna send the slides out. How soon will you send those out?
Well, I'm gonna send them out as soon as possible. It has to be by tomorrow because the trio is going to Canada for our
Oh,
mid-year training. So I'll get that out tomorrow, to be honest, because if I don't, I'm gonna be pulled from all different directions. So I'm definitely gonna get that out by tomorrow.
Well, that's at Vancouver with contest this year, huh?
Yeah, well,
The
this is
convention,
not.
right?
Oh yeah, the convention
Yeah.
in August. Yeah, so they have our
Thank you.
mid-year. You're welcome. So they have our mid-year training there this in January, which was kind of, your eyes are kind of big because it's cold, but they have a lot of rain. So that's good to know. But if there's no other questions, everyone will get the recording. It's always on YouTube, and we have our own playlist for the President's Leadership Circle education session. So anytime you're on District 103 Toastmasters, you can always look at any workshops that you did not attend. You can always go back and look at them, and you also get the PowerPoint as well. So it was a pleasure of seeing everyone. Happy New Year again. I want you to start those goals. I want to see you because even Dr. Ellis saying she gets excited every month when she sees those names that we have to draw. So remember, level up, win big. Your name automatically goes into a drawing when you're submitting your levels for pathways. So spread the word, spread the love to all your club members that we want to recognize them for all their hard work that they're doing. All right. Well,
Right.
y'all have a great evening.
Thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
Happy New Year and have a safe trip.
Happy New Year.
Happy New